While in primary school in standard 7, my class teacher asked to have a word with my mother, and she expressed two main concerns about her. She said the impediment I had was that I was given to peer pressure. And then the second thing she told my mother to watch was that I had an inferiority complex. And I didn't agree with that at all. I didn't. I didn't then, neither do I now. I agreed with the first part. I had semblances of peer pressure. What was happening was I didn't quite feel like I belonged because I was not excellent in sports. And I wanted a place where I would be accepted. So what I would do during break time or maybe evening PE and that sort of stuff is I would sit with a few of my guy friends and lady friends. I had a bunch, and they'd sit around me and we just trade stories, and the ladies were chuckling, and I was very happy that I was making people very happy. And you see, you would not get an insignia in high school or primary school for that, that you are a good person to hang around. That was frowned upon, you know. But if you kicked football nice or you played rugby well, you know, people would sort of celebrate you. So in my really trying to belong, I remember I did very poorly in soccer. I went to play basketball and somebody slammed the ball on my finger and it really swelled, so I never went back to the pitch. And so I was just trying to belong. But about peer pressure, what's amazing is now in hindsight, while Mrs. Karaoke was right, I see my peers and even friends who are older than I am in conversation owning up to having peer pressure. And you know, social media age that we live in has exacerbated the situation. It hasn't gotten any better because you are always just looking across your shoulder and there's someone you can always compare yourself to. All right. And so I thought to have a conversation with you about ways as adults we could try and deal with peer pressure, because it's real, y'all. Maybe you are not dealing with it, but somebody else is. So how do you deal with peer pressure? All right. My name is Eric, and this is Eric Stories. Eric Stories, if you're new, is just about two individuals, you and I, who try and make sense of difficult conversations around adult living and adult life. I value all of your feedback, and I've made ways in which you can get back to me. First of all, is through my DM, or if you don't mind, through the comment section. You know, write me your thoughts. I really appreciate it. It helps me grow as well. Okay. So before we get into the in of it, there's segments of peer pressure that is good. I mean, there's positive peer pressure. For instance, you're trying to stop smoking, and four of your friends who all quit smoking are encouraging you on ways to do it. And so you tend to hang around them more often, especially when the craving strikes and you don't smoke. That is a positive peer pressure. Or for instance, you are trying to go back to do your MBA, and all of your four friends, you make the fifth one, went back to college and they're pursuing their MBA, and now you decide, I'm not going to be left behind. That is a positive peer pressure. But there's a negative one where you drink in excess more than you want to, more than it sits well with you. But because your friends are doing it and they sort of give you a look, if you try, go away, then that is a negative peer pressure. All right. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, how do you deal with it? How? It's hard because some of us fear that we're going to be ostracized. So we just keep on keeping on. All right. So I wrote a few things down for you. I'll share them with you. Tell me what you think, and also share with me if at all you've surmounted the challenge of peer pressure so that I can learn as well. Be true to yourself and reflect on your inherent core values. It's very important. Think about what you want for yourself. I was having a chat with a friend of mine years ago. He came to see me, and he's an artist, and so he was telling me that he's feeling some type of way about some artist in Tanzania who was doing amazing. I mean, he was singing and singing and singing, and everywhere he went, my friend was saying he would hear these guys' songs. And so he started to study these artists and look at his lyrics and his hooks and how he dresses and the frequency with which he releases a new hit and so on and so forth. And so he told me that not long after that, when he would write, his songs started sounding exactly like these other artists. And so in conversation, I told him, you know what? I think people love you for who you authentically are. Your inherent core values. Go back to those. It doesn't matter if this guy flies to the moon singing and back. People will accept who you authentically, truly are. Yeah? So then I would borrow the same advice to you and I. If you're not true to yourself, anybody can sway you either way. So reflect on your inherent core values and think about what you want for yourself in the future and in the now. And based on them, make that decision going forward. 1. 2, have a wide range of friends. This has helped me. I have a whole bunch of friends. I was thinking about my friends. I was writing down my true friends the other day, maybe a fortnight ago. I have friends in their 50s. I have friends who've divorced. I have friends who are single mothers. I have friends who are Muslim. I have friends who are non-Christians, non-religious. I have all manner of friends. You know why? They hold a perspective that is very different from mine. So being open and being minded to consult with people with different backgrounds goes a longer way so that you're not put in a box. If you're 42 and you hang out with another 5 42-year-olds who are all unmarried and you guys drink and go to Vasha, it's very hard to come out of that pack because you feel like that's what all 42-year-olds do. But if you have a different array of 42-year-olds, then it challenges your thinking, don't you think? I mean, that's why not every woman who comes across in your life should be slept with, or a man who comes around your life. I have men who don't believe, I know of men who don't believe that a woman can just be your friend. And that's how you miss out on a good opportunity to change your thinking. Because she has a perspective you'll never ever have. She has a female perspective. She has a mother's perspective. She has a single mother's perspective. She's a businesswoman. She has a businesswoman perspective. And you'll never be any of those things. You know why? Because you're a man. All right? So people from different backgrounds, regardless of what their core holds, helps your core because they're very different. Right? So be mindful to make different cocktail of friendships. It does me so much good. There's somebody has gone ahead of me. I have a good friend of mine. He's in his 50s. He's gone ahead of me in life. So when we talk about marriage, he's been in 2 marriages. I hear it differently than I would somebody who's just beginning to get married. All right? And that calls also for honoring people and listening. Listening. That goes a long way, I think. What do you think? Number 3, learn from your mistake. The best way to avoid repeating a mistake is to learn from it. Just learn from your mistakes. If you've been led astray due to your peer pressure, consider what might have been done differently and do it. Your friends asked you for money, you took a loan, it was a small loan, but they've never paid back because you guys were happening in Naivasha. All right? Put into practice better habits next time. So what do you do then? If this park is dodgy, maybe you don't lend money as you're looking for an out. But you can't just do the same thing you've been doing. It's preposterous and bizarre, and it's going to hurt you some more. Another thing, be mindful what feels right to you on what feels right to you on a visceral level. Not just on your intellect, in your deepest knower. That's why we have intuition and insight. What feels right to you? Thank God for growing older and hopefully wiser. I am happily able to say no these days. It doesn't sit well with me, no. No is a complete sentence and an equally acceptable answer. If it's not for them, it is for you and it's good. All right? This is probably the direction you want to take. What feels right to you? And it requires sometimes that you sit down with a pen and a paper and write truly who you are. Who am I? Do I enjoy going out to gyrate? I do. Fantastic, I'll go. I don't. I'm doing it because Kina Tom, John, and Jane, and Pauline will frown if I don't go. That is a terrible reason. That is a terrible reason. It's the same way you can go to a convenience store and you see a nice top or a dress. Then you put it on and you feel really good about yourself and you turn to Jane and say, do you like it? And she's like, mm-mm. Then you leave it. Can you imagine? You left it because of her. I will take it. All right? So be mindful about what feels right to you on a visceral level. Deep inward feeling rather than intellect. Yes, 1,500 people have Instagrammed it. And yes, they attended the concert and it looks like it was amazing. And you chose to sleep because your body was saying you sleep. C'est la vie. Cheers. You go to the other one which you feel like going. The other thing this helps with, don't mind criticism, especially if you are acting in a way that's true to yourself. Never mind critics. Never mind critics. So what, you think I'm a bore? I've been home all weekend. So what? So what? Huh? Joachim, cheers. Knock yourself out. I did when I was at home. So don't mind criticism. And then finally, seek people who affirm your values. If you've outgrown relationships, It's a conversation we might need to have in a tentative Eric Stories. People grow. That's what happens. Change and time are the only constants in life. People outgrow you, you outgrow people. It is life. Yes, you had deep feelings of love for them in 2019, and now your graph is very different. She's gone south, you've gone north or west. West is a good example. You've gone east, she's gone west. You'll never ever meet. That's okay. So seek people who affirm you, even in close circles. Your friend, your peers, the people you hang around with, if they affirm you, bingo. If you've outgrown that clique, cheers. Learn to kiss people goodbye. What did I leave out? Good evening and happy Monday.